And there is no balance. They're always, if you look at any successful, I'm talking about professionally successful women from Inza Nui to Emma God now, and they always say there is no balance. It's just what is a priority at this point, at this moment in my life. I can't say I'm going to be a good mother today. I'm going to be a great wife. I'm going to be an amazing, a badass CEO. And I'm going to go and do a charity event as well. I can't do it all.
It wasn't accepted, but when you did that, when you really saw people and what they can contribute and what they wanted to contribute and their strengths and all of the things that they brought to the table.
Yeah.
I mean, people would do anything for me because they knew that I cared for them and that I had their back. And I did it in leadership a lot. I was a badass and I was this and I was that, but I was never true to myself, and it was always very uncomfortable. I was very successful, but there was a lot of collateral damage along the way, right?
Welcome to Her Own Narrative, and today's guest is a very special guest joining us from Ohio, America. And she here is talking about us women who are amazing, but also as leaders. Her thoughts in how to be a leader, how to actually lead as a woman and being true to yourself. Welcome.
Thank you, Needy. I'm so happy to be here. I'm happy to be here. Thank you.
We're going to just have a little warm up and tell
Okay.
me a little bit more about yourself. I have read your questionnaire, and what I loved was your response to it that, hey, if you make me think.
Oh, you did make me think. Yes, absolutely.
I'm taking that in a positive way.
Yes, no, it was definitely positive. It didn't save though, and I'm like, so, but yeah, it was good to go there. So a little bit uncomfortable, but good to go there.
You know, sometimes you just got to do, I know what you mean.
Yeah.
Not comfortable, but you got to, it's good to just visit and say, reflect and move on. Then and it brings a lot of, I feel when you visit those places, it brings a lot of gratitude sometimes as well.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yes.
look how far we've come. Kind
Yes.
of thing, isn't it? So, tell me, what would you like to touch upon so that I kind of take the conversation in that direction?
So I think I was reading about what you're trying to accomplish, and I think where I'm at right now, and it was about getting older, and you're not there yet. But I think society wants women in particular to kind of just disappear, and I think we're but so throughout our lives we have to play different roles, okay? And I did it in leadership a lot. I was a badass and I was this and I was that, but I was never true to myself, and it was always very uncomfortable. I was very successful, but there was a lot of collateral damage along the way, right? And now particularly, what's that?
You've touched upon something I so passionately feel about. Yes,
Yeah.
carry on. Sorry.
Yeah. No, and then as we've gotten older, it's kind of like, okay, go away now. You know, you've served your purpose, go away and do whatever it is that you want to do. And I know that I'm not ready, and a lot of my peers aren't ready. But society is telling us, hey, you're old, you're inconsequential, just move on. And I think too many women are accepting that just move on, where we still have a tremendous amount of value to add. And if I could tell particularly younger women how important it is to stay true to yourself, true to who you are, and always live by your values, and don't let society or other people dictate who you are, how you show up, because you still have value regardless of your age.
So true. And you know what you've just said is the essence of the whole thing, that society shapes us women. They
Yes.
tell us in not those many words, but I don't know, it's it's an expectation, it's an underlying expectation, and we succumb to it. Like I
Yes.
always say, I wasn't told to be a certain way.
Right.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Nobody came and said, this is what we expect of you.
Mm-hmm.
But in that is it conditioning? Is it just expected out of myself as a woman? What you
Hmm.
do is you condition yourself, you change yourself, you adapt, you mold, and in that you lose your own authenticity.
Yes.
And then
However,
comes to yeah,
however, I'm
go
going
go
to
go go
challenge.
go.
I'm going to challenge you because I can tell you in corporate America and in the different continents that I worked in, we were expected to. We as women, you're too passionate. You're too this. You're too that. You know, if you're too, then you're a bitch, right? And
Yes.
so we
Oh,
were
yes. Because if you're
in
too assertive, you're a bitch. If you're
yes.
too nice, you're not a leader enough.
Correct. And so yeah, there were, it's unspoken, but in some situations where I worked, I grew up in male dominated organizations and I can't tell you the amount of times that it was like, if you adapt male characteristics, you're a bitch. But I'm doing exactly what my male peer is doing. However, it's too strong. It's too, so you need to pull back a little. Okay, so you pull back a little, and then you're not strong enough. So it's a real conundrum for women. I think to find the style that resonates with them, that aligns with their values, and helps them to be successful by their own rights. So
But you know what you've just said? So if you are to something, yeah, you're trying to get those now this is again a conversation, not a challenge, but
yeah.
I will say, so there is a to something, right? You're too
Hmm.
much, you're too passionate, you're too creative, you're too dominating, you're too this, you're too that, while I'm just trying to do my job, right? So
Right. Right.
that's the requirement of a job. I've got to do it. But if I become too much, then I become a bitch. Yeah,
Yes.
because
Yes.
somebody's termed me to
Yes.
be a certain way. When I'm out of that line, what's so per se the square they've made for me, the box they've made for me, I become a bitch, right?
Right.
At the same time, do you think women, particularly I think a little bit older than where I am at this point, at that point it was a essential characteristic we had to adapt, that I have to become my male counterpart to be respected, valued, heard, and seen.
Yes. However,
Hmm.
when we did that, when I did that, I can't
Yeah.
speak for all women, but when I did that, then I was too something, too
So what are you
aggressive.
changing now, Julie? Go
I'm
back to Julie, who was a very
I'm gonna
successful.
stay.
What
I'm
would you
gonna
tell her?
stay. I'm gonna stay true to myself, and I know now what works in leadership, and I know that I have to care deeply for the people that I work with, and
Thank
I
you.
have to support them, and I have to love them, and I have to see them, and I have to value them. And when you do that, and you lead from your heart, which, ugh, you know, I mean, that last job, I was like telling people I love them. Holy crap, that was it. That was like,
Was that tough for you? But I
yes,
guess
it
it
was.
comes very authentically to you.
No, it was tough because
But was it?
it wasn't accepted. But when you did that, when you really saw people and what they can contribute and what they wanted to contribute and their strengths and all of the things that they brought to the table,
Yeah.
I mean, people would do anything for me because they knew that I cared for them and that I had their back. And I was true to myself and true to my values and true to my uh, who I was, and it totally changed the game.
It does.
I didn't I didn't try and um, be a certain type of leader. I just was who I was, and in being
Became
who I
you.
was,
So it's that becoming that is so valuable, and it just kind of, it's like that moment of epiphany, and they're like, wow, I can be me and still be thriving being
yes,
me, rather than
yeah,
trying to kind of kill myself and try to be something else. Like in your case, you're trying to be a male counterpart to be heard, seen, and
right,
respected in your place,
yeah.
and it's not going down well. It might be working great for you professionally, but personally, it's not aligning with you, right?
Correct. And I don't know. I don't know that that style was good for me professionally, because I was considered a hard ass, and I was demanding, and I was expecting people to do things because of my title. And I think that that probably hurt me a little bit in my career, because people would say that I was really hard on them, and I know I wasn't any. My justification was I wasn't any harder on them than I was on myself.
There we go.
But
That's what I meant to say. That is
yeah,
exactly what I meant to say because you tried to do what they were doing, right?
yes, yes, yeah.
So tell me, before we move on to something women as leaders, right?
Mm-hmm.
Why, and you just touched upon, why do you think you chose that life at that style of leadership at that point? Just to be as good as them? Or what
Yeah.
was it?
Yeah, that's what I saw. That's what I saw leaders do.
Yes.
And so I felt like in order to be a leader, you had to demand respect. Earning respect wasn't even a thought. I mean, you had to demand it. You had to get people to do the things that you needed them to do. And that was a heavy-handed style, but it was not an effective style. An effective style is collaboration and caring. So,
I love that. And you know what? The world we're going into right now, especially when there's so much automation, that a lot of jobs can be done automatically. So obviously the human interface is going to bring a lot more emotional intelligence and, sympathy and empathy and everything. And what they're saying now, actually, women make better leaders. What do
no
you
doubt.
think about that, Julie?
I absolutely agree. I agree as long as we're true to ourselves. I agree as long as we lead from our hearts and we lead from our values, and we care about the people, and we care about the people that work for us, and we see them as human beings, and we capitalize on the strengths and the things that they love to do. We are far more effective. People don't get up in the morning and go, I'm going to go to work and I'm going to suck today, right? Absolutely not. People want to be part of something bigger than themselves. They want to be seen and they want to be valued and they want to be heard. And when they get into work, all of that quite frequently is like, no, I want you to sit in that cube and you get those numbers. I want you to go into that warehouse and you get those numbers, or go on that piece of equipment and you get those numbers. And we ask them to set themselves aside to deliver for the company. So I think if we
Because
really
they're not
see,
feeling being the part of the company, isn't it? It's like as a
correct,
woman, you can actually nurture them. You
yes,
can nurture that team just like your children. And
yes,
you can bring them to be part of that family and actually grow with the business because it belongs to them, right?
correct,
So this is so interesting because what they're saying is what I just touched upon. Women make better leaders, and then I was trying to. I'm not distracting myself here. I'm just trying to get some statistics because there was something they said. Women on global records, current future prediction is 23% of women are on global boards,
yes,
while CEOs of the world, being women, is less than 6%. Right?
yes,
Does that say something? And but at the same time, what they're saying is leadership has to change. The quality of leaderships have to change. If you listen to Simon Sinek, one of the
I love him,
I love
love
him.
him,
I love him.
yeah,
And what
yes,
does he say? You can't lead being demanding. You've got to
correct,
lead from emotions. You
yes,
can't be a leader if you go and tell them what to do. You've got to be the leader who listens to what they want to do for you.
right,
Right?
right,
So if that's what they're saying, that you have to lead from your emotional intelligence, your EQ has to be higher than your IQ.
mm-hmm,
Right? So we're teaching men to do that, what women are naturally good at.
right, agreed,
So,
yeah,
where
yeah.
is that disparity? What is going on, and where should the world be going right now? Not even should. Where do you think the world is going right now, with the women and men getting into leadership?
Um, I think in order to be effective, it needs to go the way that we just talked about. I think that we, as women, I'm not talking about telling your employees every day, I love you, and giving them a hug, and how can I serve you, and blah, 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 blah. We need to see them. We need to care about them. We need to capitalize on their strengths. A lot of these kids grew up on kids. I say that because I'm old.
No,
But
you're not. First
they
of all.
grew up solving
Why?
problems. They grew up solving problems on computers. They were playing with people around the world. They were using their brains, and we're saying to them now, I don't want you to use your brains. I want you to come in and do these things I tell you to do. And we're not going to be successful as a society if we continue to lead people that way. And I think women, if they're willing to get uncomfortable, and be maybe a little bit radical and lead from their hearts and lead from their values, we're going to demonstrate over and over and over the value that we provide in leadership. And I'm hoping that those numbers will go up.
Oh, yes.
I'm not sure the way the world is going that they necessarily will. But look at who's the lady who ran Pepsi for years? Nadella?
Yes.
Yeah. I mean,
Let me get her name.
yeah.
How can
Uh,
I?
I mean, there's so many examples of it, but it's men still dominate,
Yeah.
and so it takes a special kind of man to say, "Hey, let's bring in more women because women get it."
Yeah, like Indra Nui, she was Pepsi's CEO.
Yes.
And
Yes.
she also, I love that woman because the way she comes across and the way she says things exactly the way she says it. And she always talks about this, when women are leaders, there are a lot of questions. How do you balance life?
Mm-hmm.
Why don't you ask that question to a male counterpart? Because it's
Right.
not expected them to balance their lives, right?
Correct.
And there is no balance. They're always, if you look at any successful, I'm talking about professionally successful women, from Indra Nui to Emma God now, and they always say there is no balance. It's just what is a priority at this point, at this moment in my life.
Right.
You can't say, I'm going to be a good mother today, I'm going to be a great wife, I'm going to be an amazing, a badass CEO, and I'm
Yes.
going to go and do a charity event as well. I can't do it all
Yes.
at one point in time. So at this
Yeah.
point, I'm choosing what I'm going to do.
Yes.
So there is no balance, right?
Yeah.
But in the whole scheme of things, we can possibly bring that balance when people get together. So,
Yes.
Julie, I love this conversation. Absolutely love it because I think women as leaders, women are becoming radical. Women are taking charge of their own lives. Like you said, you're not stoppable. Nobody can tell you, hey, Julie, you've come to this age of your life now, and I think you should stop. No, Julie wants to go on.
Yes.
She wants
Yes.
to do what she wants to do. So
Yeah.
there is nobody making rules for you anymore. While the generation before, I think, surrendered to those rules.
Right. Agreed.
While I think in our generation, I will put ourselves in the same, because I think with the technology as well, we are a lot more aware. Look at you. You're sitting in the USA and I'm sitting in the UK, and we're having this great chat. Who would have thought this before?
Yes. Agreed.
So I think this is bringing us together, because what it's doing is it's making me feel I'm not alone in this.
Yes.
We are bringing ourselves together, and we're like, if we both think the same way, why can't we do something about it?
Correct.
Right? So
Yes.
Julie, go back to when did you start your career? What age?
I was babysitting full time when I was 12 for 6 kids, and then I never.
Whoa!
So I didn't grow up having a lot of money or anything. So I have always been that, which is why I have no interest in retiring, is because I've always been working. I've always had to, take care of myself and that type of thing. So, yeah, I've been working for a long time.
12 years old, and Julie starts working. What was that young Julie thinking when she was working, and what was her style in babysitting? Was that a very nurturing way of, because that's the job role as well?
Jeez. It's funny because one of the girls that I babysat when I was 12 reached out to me on LinkedIn. And this is 40 some years later, which is kind of fun. But I don't know. I guess I never really thought about it. The kids were well taken care of. I have always been, a responsible person because I had to be. And so, I did it summer after summer. You know, every summer when the parents were working, I was babysitting for them. So I don't know. I took care of them. But then I went into corporate, and it was more okay. So now you're the boss, and you have to, you know, kind of tell people what to do and get them to do what it is you want them to do. And it was a lot more, and I don't like to use the word, but dictatorial in leadership early on in my early career, I think, which is not an effective way to lead.
No, but at that point, you thought that's the only way to lead.
Correct.
Yes. So when you go back to that Julie, 20 years, I'd say 20-year-old, 25-year-old Julie.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And you'd say, Julie, that's great. You thought that was working there. Yeah. But I want you to reconsider. What would you change about that? Which we've already spoken about. But what would be that one thing you'd say as a woman to yourself and to a young girl who's going into a corporate world now, and she's thinking, nope, I've got to do this, and I'm a high, like, a managerial level, a position, high position, and I've got to be a certain way. What would you tell her?
Don't lose yourself. And don't follow the traditional rules of leadership. Take care of the people that work for you, and they'll take care of you. And I think that's a game changer. And I think, although it's uncomfortable because you're going to get disappointed, as I got older and I was mentoring people, they're like, well, people disappoint you. I said, yes. And they also grow beyond their own wildest dreams and beyond your wildest dreams. And you'll see it in people when they know that you have their back and that you care for them and that you will make sure you will do everything within your power to lift them up. And people will rise to that occasion.
I totally agree. I wouldn't challenge that at all. I totally agree. They always say, and it's in any relationship, if you give, it will get acknowledged. Yes, there'll be disappointments. That's like being a teacher and you've got a class full of 30 pupils. Not everybody's going to be a topper of the class. That just doesn't mean you haven't poured your heart out, right?
Right.
You have taught all the kids at the same time. It's what they put the effort in as well.
Yeah.
So
you're going to lose people along the way. Yeah. They're going to grow.
Yeah.
And so they'll go to a different department. They'll go to a different organization. And that's fantastic stuff.
Yeah, I was going to say, wouldn't it be a personal achievement if I have mentored somebody and I have been a contributor to somebody's personal well-being and professional well-being? Because again, we are mixing both now. Yeah, if I have an employee and I ask, how are your kids? Are you okay? How are you feeling today? Right, rather than saying, this is your task for today and I want the numbers done.
Yes.
Wouldn't they be more invested in me? And they would like, okay, you've got these skills. Why don't you work on them? And when they grow with those skills and they become better and they get promoted and they start something else for themselves, that's a proud moment for myself, I feel.
Oh, it absolutely is. Yes. And I think, the other thing, as I've been on this journey, as I've been a little bit harder on my past than I probably needed to be, because I within the last 3 months, I've gotten 3 texts or emails that said, I just want you to know that I am the person today because of who you were for me. And that's pretty cool.
That's very cool.
It is very cool. One guy, it's been 30 years that I hadn't heard from him. And he found me and said, I just wanted you to know that. And so part of the messaging, I think, for your listeners and my listeners is, don't be so hard on yourself. I did what I could with the knowledge I had, and I led the people the way that I led them. And they're better today because of having me in their life. And I think sometimes when you have a hard day or a hard week or a hard month, I have a folder down there that I read every once in a while, whether it's performance appraisals or just notes as I left companies, and you know, give yourself some grace because you're not always going to be fantastic at what you do, and so reach out to the supporters you have, or the facts that you have that refute when you go down into a rabbit hole, and say, no, that's not true. Your recollection is not correct. So fight the lies in your head with the facts, and reach out to the people that you've influenced over the years.
That's absolutely amazing, and it sounds like it's part of your ritual, not daily ritual maybe. It's part of your life that you remind yourself, give yourself grace of what you just said, that you know what, I have been great at so many things, and it is okay to say that as well, because I think we women are again conditioned to say, don't, you're boasting about yourself, or
Yes.
you're not meant to, you're not say, oh no, I'm all right. If somebody says, oh, your hair looks great, oh, it's all right, yeah, it's fine,
Yeah.
thank you. No, it looks great, thank you, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, so if you have actually helped somebody, yes, I've been a great mentor. I have changed people's lives, because again, no, it's not like I'm putting them down, but a male counterpart will shout on the top
Oh, yeah.
of the cliff. They would
Yeah.
say, this is what I've done, I've changed so many people's lives, while we are meant to say underdogs,
Yes.
underdogs,
Yes. Yes,
right?
exactly.
Why do we need to
Exactly.
be an underdog? I want to be a
Yes.
top dog, and I want to be unapologetically a top dog.
Mm-hmm.
So what do you think that's shifted? And also going back to that, what was that moment in your career, or was it after your career in the corporate, that you said, I want to change my leadership style?
Oh no, it was it was in probably the where I really figured out that if I do a better job taking care of the people that work for me, and seeing them and hearing them and capitalizing on their strengths, and nurturing them and loving them, I'd say the last couple of jobs that I had, I shifted my style to be more of me and less of what society said that a woman leader needed to do.
And what did it do to you personally, Julie? Were you a happier person?
Yes, I was. However, it was hard. It was hard because the organization didn't necessarily want that style. So there was a disconnect. There was a disconnect because it wasn't necessarily something that they asked me to do or wanted to do, but I realized in order to be a more effective leader and to get the best from my people, that's what I needed to do.
Would you like to share an example? Like something very little, or I don't, if it's confidential or something.
Well,
that
I
it's
put this,
not.
so I just sent I wrote a book on leadership, and it's called The Leadership Mirror. Look inward to lead outward.
Yes.
And so we were working in Botswana, and it was a very tough project, and it was a global team, and I was the project manager, and it was a global team, and it was very tough. We were away from our homes. The expectation was it was I think a three week there, 1 week home, and that changed, and my team was disappointed, and I thought I was I remember I was fighting with the local leadership about that, and we ended up it was Thanksgiving, which is a big deal in the U.S. and
Yeah.
we had U.S. folks, and a lot of the folks didn't even know what it was. But from my U.S. team, they were disappointed they weren't going to have Thanksgiving. So I went. We were staying in a hotel in Botswana, and I went to the hotel manager and I said I want to have Thanksgiving, and he's like, "What is Thanksgiving?" And I told him, I said, it's where you eat tremendous amounts of food and you sit around the table and you talk and fight and stuff like that. So we ended up pulling off Thanksgiving in Botswana. I had South Africans that got spices for us, and I think they brought it. I think the way I remember it may not be, but they smuggled a turkey in for us. I had people get recipes from home, and this is before. I think we probably had cell phones, but I had people. Get their favorite recipes, and the hotel recreated to the best of their ability with what they had the Thanksgiving meal. And so I let the folks know through the best of my ability, and it wasn't to them, it was a big deal. I still get texts on Thanksgiving, hey, I remember Thanksgiving in Botswana, type of thing. So it's hard. It's hard because I think a lot of companies expect you as a leader to be a certain way and to treat your employees in a certain way. And so I think part of the hardest part of all of it was it was misaligned with my values, and I didn't want to lead that way. So I kind of took shortcuts and did what I could with the resources we had so that I could make sure the people were taken care of. And I think that's a hard part of it. If you're working in a very dysfunctional organization, to step away from the fray and say, I will always still be true to my values and my heart, and I will take care of my folks. And I think it's a challenge for people, and it's hard for people because there are so many horribly dysfunctional organizations. And so I think that's a real hard part of why people find leadership so hard.
It's
because
of the fear as well, isn't it? Because if you
Oh, yeah.
challenge the organization, it's I don't know how it went after that Thanksgiving for you, but yes, your collaboration with your employees is something how many years later is still being talked about, because that actually becomes something memorable. The project
Yes.
is a project,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
You're going to get
Yeah.
through it. But you made
Yeah.
a memory in that project.
Yeah.
So how do you overcome that fear?
For me, it was just you have to make. I will always go down fighting, and I will do the right thing. And if that costs me my job, then I'm okay with that. But in my heart, I knew that I needed to take care of that team there, and I needed to see them, and I needed to know that I valued them and their sacrifice. And I don't care what company it is. I'm actually ahead of the curve because I've never stayed in a company longer than 5 years because I lost alignment with the leadership. And so I will always, if you want to fire me for doing the right thing, fine. I don't care. But
I was going to ask you, have you been fired for doing the right thing?
I was never fired. I was laid off
Yes.
in my last job, and I loved that job, and I was doing all the right things, and still I get texts from hourly employees that are like, we miss you. And this has been how many years now? 3 years.
Wow.
And that layoff was such a punch in the gut. And it was hard, and it made me question who I was, and did I make the right choices? Should I have been a different leader? And I wouldn't change a thing. I would not change a thing. Those people, they knew that I cared about them, and they delivered for me and would do anything for me. And even if I called them now, they would do the same thing. And I will always stand by my decisions to take care of my people and to lead from my heart and lead aligning with my values. But
yeah, go for it. Sorry.
No, it's just not. It's a hard choice to make.
It's a hard choice to make. But I think what I was going to bring back to that being a woman, you would, if you actually want to lead as a as a leader of a pack, right? What do you do
Hmm.
as a leader of a pack? You nurture that pack. You
Yes.
will get them together. Would you not fight for your family? You'd
Yeah.
fight for your family. Come
Hmm.
touch my children. You're
Yes.
killed, right?
Yeah.
So if
Yeah.
they're my employees, they are like my family.
Yes.
At the same point, you spend more time at work than you actually spend at home. If you can create that atmosphere there as a leader, they always
Yeah.
say leaders set off the wind in the play. How does it go? Hang on, I have to think about
I
that.
don't know.
You set it off the direction of the wind or something like that. Let me
Yeah.
just get this right because I don't want it going. Leaders set the direction. It really irritates me.
They used to call me Mama Bear.
Oh, I
Yeah.
want you in my life. I
Yeah.
want you to come and be there for
Yeah.
me. That's so
Which actually,
cute.
if you read about it, it's not necessarily a great thing. But at the time, you don't mess with my team, and you don't mess with my
But
pack.
why do you say it's not the great thing, not a great thing?
Well, there's some research that says it's controlling a different way. It's controlling from a motherly aspect, and I'll tell you what, you don't ever want to disappoint your mother, right?
Yes.
We would get spanked, but when mom was disappointed, that was way worse. And
Yeah,
so
that's
there's some
emotional hurt.
yes, so there's
Yeah.
some research that says the mama bear is not necessarily, the best style, but at the point where I was at, that was the style I needed to be to take care of the folks. And I wouldn't change a thing. So
That's interesting because what they say is I was waiting for this. Leaders don't wait for the right wind; they set its direction. So
yes,
if you're gonna go in the morning and you're not setting it off in the right way, there's a ripple effect. Everybody's
oh
gonna do
yeah,
the same thing,
yeah,
isn't it? So if you
yeah,
go in
absolutely,
as a grumpy leader and a very, oh, I'm anxious or, I'm gonna, the whole team is gonna be on tiptoe around you. They're gonna be on the edge. They don't know how to perform and you can't really perform when you're on the edge, right?
right, right. Yeah, there's a I've done a lot of LinkedIn posts about like energy. Your team, they catch up. They know what kind of energy you walk in the door with, and it's horrible to work for a boss. It's like, okay, which version of Needy is going to show up today? which
Yes.
which one am I going to get today?
I have to second guess,
Yes,
right?
yeah,
So when
yeah,
when when Julie walks in today, oh my gosh, am I going to be at my best behavior? Or am I going to be at my best performance? Or am I going to be like a little bit, oh, hey Julie, how are you? You look great, kind of a
yeah,
thing, right?
yeah,
That
yeah,
is that is and that is about anything in life. I mean, having
yes,
a leader who I'm going to spend next 8 hours of my day with, even if
hmm,
you have that kind of a partner or a family member or a friend, you don't know what to expect. That is not a
right,
nice
right,
place to
and
be in.
that's I think probably guidance for leaders coming up is it's key that you're a consistent leader. Don't don't have your employees second guessing which of you is going to show up today, because that creates a lot of damage.
So tell me three qualities what you touch upon in being a good leader in your book. You just used consistent leader.
Consistency
Love
is
that.
huge.
Consistency. Yeah.
Consistency is huge. Um, I think caring. I think you have to be a caring leader.
Yeah.
Um, although sometimes you get hurt, but caring is going to get you a lot further.
Yeah.
Um, and I think you need to be genuine. Um, not putting on airs, not acting like you're someone other than you're not, because your employees are going to see right through it.
Oh yes. Oh yes. Talk to me a little bit more about this. So if somebody, I wish I'd read your book before.
I haven't. It's at the publisher now. It's at the publisher now.
Oh, lovely. Let's
So,
talk about that then. So, Julie, what made you write this book, and what's the message you want to actually go and spread with this book? Why and why now?
the name of the book is The Leadership Mirror. Look inward to lead outward. And I think that our employees are a mirror reflection of us. And I think a lot of times leaders, I hear so often that if it weren't for this, if it weren't for my employees, my job would be so much easier. If it weren't for my customers, so and so messed up with this, or so and so, did these things. And I think that so much of the behaviors that our employees exhibit are a mirror image of us. And that if we reflect an image of authenticity, of repair, well, you're going to make mistakes, but own up to it. And so the book invites leaders to examine, when things go wrong or right in their organization, their contribution to it, because they didn't happen by choice. Our employees will act as we act, they'll do as we do. And so if certain things are happening in your organization, I would challenge leaders that it's a mirror reflection. They're acting as you act.
This is very interesting. I always lead with examples. Give me something. Give me something where you would actually explain this phenomenon. And, it's like, okay, you're a leader and this is forget the leader right now. What's happening in your organization right now? Let's go backwards.
Okay. I think when mistakes happen, there's a lot of blame. There's a lot of finger pointing, and if the leader were to step up and say, "Hey,
What's happened?
I didn't train. You weren't trained properly. The system was broken. The process was broken. The machinery was broken. And so I accept that. What do we need to do together to fix that?" And when you do that one repair or that one owning of that mistake, it allows the people in your organization to do the same thing. And it creates just a very different environment. But so I think it's role modeling that type of behavior as well. Like, we have a problem, let's fix it together. I wasn't listening to you guys. I made a snap decision. We didn't implement properly. I think it's a big burden to bear. However, when things happen, there's always, as a leader, it's time to reflect and go, what was my contribution to that?
Yes.
And then when you can own that.
Different to, yes.
Yes.
I love that.
Yes.
Absolutely. And do you think if we actually, as a leader, you approach situations like that, I mean, we're talking about a mistake here, something goes wrong, the machinery is broken down, your order's gone wrong, everything has gone wrong, and you've let down the customer. But as a leader, if I step up and I was like, you know what, hey guys, if I would have approached it, you think what you said, next time there'll be accountability, there'll be ownership, but also do you think that people will stop operating from fear and operate more from accountability at that point?
Absolutely. Yeah. If they can see you as their leader going, I didn't create the environment where you can be mostly successful, and apologizing, repair, those types of things creates an environment where people can do the same thing. The first time you do that, people are like, what?
Yeah.
It could be just shocking to them. But if you're consistently again, owning things that happen, or trying to figure out with the team how to fix it, then it opens the door for the other people that work in your organization to do the same thing. I think it's a game changer.
So we've spoken about leadership. Would you like to talk about your personal experiences at any point that something was? I know there is a big story, so would you like
Well,
to break it?
I think the other thing that I wanted to share with leaders, and this is very different than what we've talked about before. I've had amazing experiences in my career. I've worked on 5 different continents. I've also had 5 car accidents with total cars. I was hit by a train while working in Australia. I had 6 plastic surgeries on my face. I was in a mine in Peru when a drift collapsed, and I was in the Akavanga Delta on a Makoro when we were chased by a hippo. And all of those kind of survival stories are also driving me to do more and to be more and to add more value. And I guess one of the things that I would like your listeners to understand is we've all survived something, whether it's a layoff or a job loss or abuse or all these things, and dig deep. And this has taken me a while. Maybe I didn't listen well enough to the repeated scenarios, but these survival stories I think they're a call to service. I think you've all survived something, and there's a message in there for you and for people that have survived the same thing that they need to hear from you. In your words, in your stories about how to make sense of all of it and do something with it, and don't wallow in those situations. Pick yourself up and figure out not why me, but what now? What do I do with this? How can I take this and help someone to learn how to rise above whatever it is that we've all survived? So that would be the other.
What a conversation. Absolutely amazing. And I'd like to leave this with one thought. Don't say why me, but what now?
Yes.
I think that is a game changer again, because what is the point of sitting there and saying why me? It's happened, and this all brings me back to, I think what you're saying is there is a reason all these things have happened. There is universe has given you all the signs, you didn't listen, right?
Right.
Till the time you're like, universe will keep telling you, survive,
Yeah, I know.
survive. Are you gonna listen to me, woman? Yeah.
Yes. Hopefully everyone, all your listeners are not as hard-headed as me, but there's something, we all go through something to do something with it. It's a message to you to rise up and to go, okay, what now?
Absolutely right, and I so totally agree with it, because there is, why do we say there is a pattern? This is happening to you again and again, right? There'll be a woman who's probably just attracting emotionally unavailable men. There's a pattern. Yeah, universe is telling you again and again and again, rise above, till the time you're down and you break you to the point you actually will say, that's it, I'm done with this. You keep having the same pattern. It could be the job as well. You're going to keep being challenged in the same direction till you rise above. And does that happen to everybody? I do believe it happens to everyone. So Julie, this was absolutely amazing. And what a conversation. I can't wait for your book to come out.
Thank you.
I want to read this book. And when is this book coming out? And how do we get our hands on it?
Okay, Q1 2026, it will be out. I'm very active on LinkedIn, so I'll give you, wow, that's how you found me, was on LinkedIn.
Yes.
Which was very random. Again, this wasn't
the plan.
It happened for a reason. So probably the best way to reach out to me is on LinkedIn. I'll give you my, I have a website, and I'll give you that information as well. So I'll share that with you.
So check Julie's page out, check her website out, and this woman is making some amazing leaders on the way. She has rocked the world. She's been a badass to a very mama bear, a leader.
Yes.
So let's learn. Let's learn, because that's all it's about. What can we bring each other, the value we can add to each other from our own lived experiences.
Correct.
Thank you so much, Julie.
Thank you. I appreciate you, and I love this conversation, so thank you.